Good evening, everyone. This is the January 11, 2023 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This meeting is being operated under a hybrid format pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by telephone by dialing 408-650-3123 and then using access code 942-845-549. Or the public can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join backslash 942-845-549. So materials for tonight's hearing have been provided to commissioners and are available on the town's website, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. As a preliminary matter, my name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the Conservation Commission. And I will, before we get started, I want to confirm the presence of persons that are participating at tonight's meeting. So when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Fallon?
Present.
Patrick Cunningham?
Present.
Megan Langley?
Present.
And I do not see, we have other members who are not present. I do not see that they are joining us remotely. So, and also town officials participating, Tim Pratt?
Here.
Perfect. All right. Also note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. Just in terms of making this flow smoothly, for those that are participating, when we call your case or your particular application, please state your name and who you are and who you represent. So having gone through the preliminaries, the first item on our agenda tonight is 7 p.m. public hearing. Logan Huffman, a notice of intent for a portion of Washington Street, also known as Route 20, for reconstruction, including grading, paving, striping, and utility work within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote. Mr. O'Connell.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, as you know, this matter's been continued for, I guess, the last 4 months or so. In reviewing the materials that you submitted, apparently DEP did ask you to make some changes. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. They took a while to complete their review. They were thorough, and we provided responses. And it did result in some plan revisions and I would say improvement from a stormwater and wetland protection standpoint. So I'm happy that they did that.
So if you could you just briefly describe the changes that you did make to the plan that had been previously submitted?
Sure, Ken. What I'll do, Mr. Chairman, is maybe just quickly summarize the 5 comments that DEP made, and then each one of those that promulgated a plan revision. So the first comment that the DEP made is that stormwater management report does not account for any proposed work that is necessary for the staging on the 50 Washington Street property in order to perform the work in Route 20. So what we did is we provided a temporary stormwater basin and corresponding hydrology calculation. Therefore, meeting those stormwater standards and addressing proposed work on 50 Washington. So on the revised plans, on that portion of the plan, you will, on sheet C-3.2, a proposed sediment basin is illustrated. So the next comment, the next comment from DEP is that calculations that have been submitted show that peak flows in the 10, 25, and 100-year storm events were from post-development to pre-development. Now, our argument at the time was that much of this work was redevelopment, as you could imagine, reconstruction of Route 20. But as a result of the temporary sediment proposed on 5th Washington Street, we were able to comply in all storm events, 2, 10, 10, 25, and 100 year all meet or exceed the predetermined runoff rate. So I'm happy to report that. The third comment that he offered was they wanted to make sure that the operation and maintenance plan proposed was consistent with what the practices are of the town of Auburn and or the Mass DOT for Route 20. Did make some minor adjustments. Unfortunately, the DOT, does not do the maintenance that is often imposed on private landowners. But as you can imagine, that would be quite the task given the amount of land that they're responsible for. But I did make some necessary tweaks to the O&M that are consistent with their maintenance of roads like Route 20. So provided that. The fourth comment was that because of the winding of the road 20, that we would be closer to the wetlands. And the fact is that yes, we would be, but I don't think that changes anything. In our response, we stated that when the snow plows drive along Route 20 and they throw snow off the road, whether it's 20 feet closer to the wetland or not, that snow is still getting thrown into the wetland. But the improvements as part of this project significantly outweigh a situation like that. Deep sump-footed catch basins, infrastructure upgrades and improvements, stormwater basin, maintenance, etc. So I feel as though that was a thorough response to the information provided. And the fifth and final comment the DEP provided was they wanted to know if this proposal was going to change the MEPA certificate issued by the state NEPA. And the answer is no, because the Route 20 improvements were part of the MEPA filing. So quite simply, no. These plans are consistent with the plans that MEPA reviewed before they issued their final certificate. So that concludes the comments, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to go into any detail that you would like or the commission members would like, but the bulk of the changes show on drawing C-3.2, and they are related to stormwater on.
Now, have you got the response from DEP to your response to their comments?
So I emailed Ms. Schmidt, provided the comments, and she wrote back and just said thank you. It's not customary to have a back and forth with DEP, so they issued the file number when they issued their comments, so they found the filing to be satisfactory. What I do find with Judy Schmidt is that she likes to provide these types of comments. When I talked to her when we first received the comments, I said, Judy, you provided a file number, so you're satisfied with the filing, and she did acknowledge that, but she did acknowledge that she thought that the commission would like to see these sorts of things included. So it was prudent to obviously provide revisions and responses, so the commission could see the responses and provide in response to DEP's comments. But she acknowledged receipt. I don't expect a back and forth, not customer.
And you answered my question. I think if there were any further concerns, I think she would have raised them, and I'm satisfied that you addressed the issues that they raised. So I have no other questions. I don't know if any of the other commissioners have any comments or questions regarding this application.
I think I just need a little bit of clarification to, excuse me, the point number 4 about the snow removal, and I just don't quite understand the point about the current edge of the pavement ranges, about how nothing's changing even though could be getting closer to the wetland.
So, as part of the project, through you, Mr. Chairman, as part of the project improvements, they do include what Mass DOT calls Complete Streets. Complete Streets is a program to provide pedestrian facilities along all road improvements. So on the plans, you'll notice that what they call a buffered bike lane. So in the vicinity of the wetland, which is opposite the entrance to West Tech Drive, there are paint markings on the plan that indicate it's a bicycle lane, and in fact it is. So there's a bicycle lane that's 5 feet wide. Between the travel lane heading westbound and the bicycle lane, there's a 3-foot painted buffer. So it's called a buffered bicycle lane. And then, so that width, and then I'm sorry, behind the bicycle lane, between the bicycle lane and the wetland, there's a curb and there's a sidewalk. So pedestrian facilities are provided in accordance with DOT's requirements for what they call complete streets. So that extra width, which is required by them, pushes the current edge of Washington Street, it pushes it northerly, closer to the wetland. So even though the existing edge of Washington Street is within the 50-foot buffer, the new edge will be within about 20 feet of the wetland. So what DEP was saying is that when the snow trucks plow the road and traveling at the speeds that they do on Route 20, they're going to throw snow on the slope and possibly in the wetland. My response to DEP was that that's already happened. So there's not going to be a new condition that will occur because of this project. But the improvements that are going to happen to the drainage system greatly outweigh the condition of snowing throw, which is already happening today into the wetlands. Does that make more sense?
I think so. It's about as good as it's gonna get, Ed. So, are you saying that like the sidewalk is gonna be closer, but the road isn't actually any closer? Or is it no?
Yeah, actually, that's pretty fair assessment. You know, the travel lane is going to be pretty consistent where it is now, but then out, next to the travel lane is a 3-foot, what they call a buffer, be a painted white buffer, and then there's a bike lane, and then there's a curb and a 5-foot sidewalk, and then the guardrail. So the widening is mostly necessary because of the pedestrian improvement. Okay. Now, what happens when you get a little bit further west, close to the entrance of the subdivision, Commerce Drive, there's a right-hand turn lane. So what becomes a third lane for vehicles to turn right into Commerce Drive does get widened further than the travel lane today, but at that point, we're almost out of the 100-foot buffer. We're out of the 50-foot buffer and almost out of the 100-foot buffer. So within the vicinity of the actual wetland, the widening is caused exclusively by the pedestrian facilities that DOT requires.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other comment? Is there any comment from the public regarding this? There being none, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Mr. O'Connell. We should get the
Thank
order
you
of
very much.
conditions out this evening, so thank you.
Okay, good to see you. Thank you.
Same here. The next matter on our agenda is the 7:05 public hearing, Nordic Industrial Properties LLC, also I guess known as Flo's Collision Center, notice of intent for property at 12 to 14 Sword Street. We received a request from the applicant to continue the public hearing. Is there, they don't specifically request that the public hearing be continued to our next meeting, but is there a motion to continue the public hearing to January 25?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Tim, do we have anything scheduled for the 25th currently?
We did have a couple new submissions.
Okay. But they haven't been scheduled yet, right, specifically?
Correct.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we continue the public hearing on 12-14 Sword Street to 7 PM on January 25th. Is that agreeable? Okay.
Gotcha.
All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye? Opposed? It's a vote. The next matter on our agenda is a 7:10 public hearing. Robert Doolin, a notice of intent for the demolition and reconstruction of a single-family home, creating and associated utilities for a property located at 31 Byland Avenue. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Mr. Engel, are you there, sir? Okay. Okay, because I think he's actually showing up on my screen, but, okay, well, feel free, sir.
Sure, great, thank you very much. And then we need to move forward.
Okay.
Actually, if you want to stand over here so the mic picks up.
So this is actually the proposed existing plan. Can we show the proposed?
Yep. If you want to stand on this side, then Mike will pick you up.
All right, great.
Can you just identify yourself again, please, for the record?
Sure, Christopher McClure, McClure Engineering.
Okay.
I'm here on behalf of Robert and Jill Doolin for a proposed demolition and construction of a single-family home with garage. The property has been in Jill's family for quite some time, so they're looking to move the primary residence. We are basically taking the home and the garage and moving it away from the shoreline. There'd be no work that would disturb the bank. Obviously, we put up erosion control prior to constructing doing any of the construction on the site. It involves the removal of 2 trees within the 25-foot. The applicant has hired an arborist who has provided a report in support of the tree removal. There's other trees that would be removed as part of the project, but those are the trees within the 25-foot. The design also provides for compensatory storage greater than what is previously there, and it decreases the impervious area on the site by roughly 200 square feet. So they have applied for and received a variance through ZBA for the setback, front setback, which basically they're meeting what is existing there, and also a special permit for work within the floodplain, which they've received that as well. So, once we get the additional approvals needed, we would be filing for a minor land disturbance permit as well. Just trying to keep the process moving along. I do understand that the DEP has not issued a number for the project yet, but, I just wanted to come to present it to you folks.
Sure. Mr. McClure, I don't know if you've appeared before us before, but we do like to take a view.
Sure.
Speaking only for myself, I cannot do it this Saturday, but I could do it the following Saturday, which would be January 21st,
Okay,
if that's agreeable to you.
that'd be fine.
And then, assuming that DEP is efficient, hopefully by that time, we will have received their file number and we can proceed at the next meeting on January 25th.
Very good.
So you're agreeable to continuing the public hearing?
Yeah, I'd request a continuance, please.
All right, terrific. So is there a motion to continue the public hearing in this matter to January 25 at 7:05 PM?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye? Opposed? It's a vote. And can we meet you at the property at 9 o'clock on the 21st?
9 a.m. on the 21st. Great. Great.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks very much. Thanks.
The next matter, we have a number of other matters to take up. We have received certificates of compliance for 335 Leicester Street. And finally, by, as a means of clarification, for 12 Hilltop Farm Road. With respect to 335 Leicester Street, it's been represented to me that the applicant, or maybe the applicant's predecessor, had actually obtained an as-built plan a bunch of years ago, right, Tim? Okay, so, my memory is that we did take a view of 335 Leicester Street. I mean, given the age of the project, whatever erosion control measures or work that had to be done was completed. So is there a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for 335 Leicester Street?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. And then with respect to 12 Hilltop Farm Road, this is, we actually went to that property a few months ago, I think maybe October.
We walked 12 Hilltop Farm.
We did.
Yeah.
So this additional one, we were like, we need more information.
Yeah.
This is on the request for certificate of compliance, I believe.
So,
Do they have a separate chain, do they have a separate,
So- I think what happened is this, I actually thought we had issued a certificate of compliance for 12 Hilltop Farm Road.
right,
I actually went on the Worcester Registry of Deeds website to see if one had been recorded. It hadn't been. Doesn't mean that we didn't issue one, but I think Ms. Fletcher Tilton, they amended their request to make it specific to 12 Hilltop Farm Road.
okay.
If you recall, the problem we had when we went out there was, basically it was for the entire project and we couldn't do that. But given the fact that it's now been limited solely to 12 Hilltop Farm Road, project, so is there a motion?
Make the motion, we issue a certificate of compliance.
Okay, is there a second? Is there any discussion?
Where's the amended,
It should be in your packet.
It's right here.
oh, okay, I see it, all right. That's it.
So there's a motion, and there was seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye? Opposed? It's a vote. I sent you this afternoon some email communications that actually occurred last week. So just by way of brief summary, there was apparently a release of oil from transformers at two locations, or having impacts at two locations, 600 South Oxford Road and 3 Bryn Mawr Avenue. I think the explanation that we received from Mr. Abraham at Ty Bond speaks for itself. They did initiate a response action after contacting DEP. It appears that response action has been completed. They were looking for our commission to issue an emergency certification. It's also my understanding that they're going to continue to monitor those sites, I think for 60 days, if I read this correctly. And apparently, just in terms of volumes, at 600 South Oxford Road, there was a release of about 15 to 20 gallons of transdermal oil, which migrated into a storm drain and then into surface water. For 3 Bryn Mawr Avenue, the release was approximately 10 gallons of transformer oil. That also went in, it was migrated into a storm drain. So having said that, are there any questions? There being none, is there a motion to approve the emergency certification for 600 South Oxford Road?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
With respect to 3 Bryn Mawr Avenue, is there a motion to approve the emergency certification?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye? Opposed? It's a vote. And then, the last item on the agenda that I have is the Quaker Bush Street. Well, this is the property where, have kind of a tortured history. When we were out there the last time, the homeowner was in the process of leveling the backyard. They were informed that they need, in proximity of the work to something within our jurisdiction, they need to file a notice of intent. We reiterated that, or specifically, I reiterated that in a letter that went out to them. Of course, I don't have the letter in front of me. I think I sent it, it was sent last month. And we gave them, or it was agreed to give them until the end of January to submit a notice of intent. So my suggestion would be that we carry over 23 Brook Street to our January 25th agenda. And then with any luck, we will have received the notice of intent. If not, we will take it up at our February, our first meeting in February. So having said that, is there any new business?
We have a 7 o'clock applicant, we need to issue
Right.
a condition.
Okay, you're right. Okay, so.
I make a motion that we issue standard order of conditions plus the following special conditions. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, and 13.
Standard order plus the following special conditions, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, and 13.
It's still within the 25, even though we still would 14 be applicable.
Right, that's already there, like they're not doing anything
It's
to
already
it.
existing. Okay. Yep.
Anyway, there's the motion. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye? Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. Is there any new business? If there is no new business, and if no one has anything else to bring up, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Is there a second? Any discussion? Any of you not want to adjourn? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye? It's a vote. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Happy New Year again.